Not everything requires struggle. And so now it's time to start looking like, okay, what battles do I not need to fight? Especially if you're not getting anywhere in those, circumstances or situations, it might be time to say, it's time to walk away from this and maneuver around, these aspects that really is keeping me inside the box. Because when you look outside the box on the horizon to what is beyond, you might realize in that bigger picture, the things that you have in your life now don't fit, don't match, and don't belong. So you might have to leave those things behind to move yourself forward. And that's what, transformation really is. And I always like to use the butterfly emerging from the cocoon analogy that, in order to kind of, emerge and to blossom, you got to push against the resistance. You got to kind of like push away from things in order for you to kind of emerge and to become that beautiful butterfly, to see a new world, to see a bigger picture. And so a lot of times it's just our own thinking that it puts us in a box. The limited thinking, the fact that we think we have to carry so much, the fact that we think that we have to, like I said previously, struggle to get into a place where we can be happier and in peace. But I always say, and I get crap for this because I say happiness is not a goal, it's a result. And so when people are trying to find happiness, they never find that because they're not doing anything that renders happiness. So the way that you want to actually render happiness is to really follow your soul purpose and understand what you're feeling and what you're really wanting in life. And I would say the desires is just an expression of your voice. And so when you're really practicing, expressing the voice and expressing yourself from the heart level, right, the soul level, then happiness just flows. Even if you haven't gotten to the goal in a sense or haven't traveled to the end result, the happiness is still in the process because that equals your soul expression is that process. So a lot of guys are just in the wrong processes, and those processes are very heavy, or you're fighting against a lot of these processes because they're not actually the pathway to getting what you want. And that's what you need to reconsider this week as you're thinking outside the box is, are the processes that I'm in, are they actually a match to the end result of where I want to be? This will allow you to understand what you've been planting all along subconsciously and the energy you've been harvesting all along, that you start seeing that things are actually pushing you forward, and that it is a time to overthink. There's nothing wrong with such. You want to analyze, you want to ground things in and make sure you're clearing your space. And this could be a position of like what I say, the hangman card, where life is kind of things suspended in a sense. But I always say, if you were to take a plant and put it into new soil, you got to uproot it. It's suspended until you plant it into new soil. A lot of guys are feeling that kind of I'm suspended energy, but that just means you have to kind of navigate the newer soil. What does that mean, that newer soil that you want to be planted in? What does that look like? What are the parameters of such? And so when you start thinking in that context, and don't put conditions first, don't say the conditions have to be such, put the vibe first, put the feeling sensation first. I want to feel this way. I want to express myself this way. Then your mind will generate a conditional response of what that will look like physically and tangibly. That's what it really means to come from the heart. That's what it really means to come from the soul, is to really understand what the feeling sensations are and what the expression of self really is. When you're becoming a newer version of yourself and allowing yourself to do so, and almost like giving yourself the permission slip, say, I'm going to allow myself to be who I want to be and say what I want to say, you'll be happy no matter what you do. Because you'll feel free. You wouldn't let anybody's perspective put you in a box. You won't anybody's ideologies putting you in the box. You won't let conditional environmental circumstances put you in a box. It just wouldn't matter to you. And that's where growth really comes. Growth is a natural process, guys. When you're resisting growth, then that's where you feel pain. Because the soul is an infinite, expansive energy. And when you're resisting that growth energy, the problem is that's where pain really manifests. That's where pain really surfaces in your life, when you're resisting that growth. So when you're allowing the growth, then the soul can express itself and it can expand, and it renders happiness.